This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Remember, if you missed any of the first hour of the program, you can always download Money Moves in podcast form, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen on your own time. Had a great conversation with Chris Jimenez, former MLB catcher, breaking down some of his big picture thoughts on the second half. We do have one MLB game today we'll preview in a moment. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. But with the Open Championship beginning overnight, like for us, the first groups got out there at 10:30 at night. So the bulk of the action in the books at this point. Jackson Suber is your first round leader right now at 5 under. Who, and you said it earlier when we were talking about this, he was 270-1 entering the tournament. He is now, in terms of the live numbers to win it out, 22-1.
Yeah, I would assume, and Kelly Bidlin's back there, so maybe he can correct me or give us some better insight on round to round. What you're looking for is signs of, you can't keep doing this, buddy. But one of the things that if you look at some of his statistics so far that I would say you probably can't keep doing, he's gained over 3 strokes putting so far, and I think it's a big reason why he has gotten this thing done. His strokes gained in terms of his approach have been very good too, so you do wonder if because you've just been so hot when you get to the green that there's going to be at some point you just fall back down to earth. Now, you could probably do this over the course of 4 total rounds just because that's still inherently a small sample size, but I think that's something you're looking for to fall back a little bit here if you're Suber. And by the way, same thing goes for Alex Smalley. According to Data Golf, he's gained 4 strokes, putting, but he has lost 1.3 off the tee. Okay. So that's going to be something where you would assume that these two guys short-lived lifespans at the top of the leaderboard, despite the fact that they're pretty good stories. That
said, if anyone threw a dart and landed on Suber for first-round leader, good on you for making that pick. Apparently, he had never played on a True Links course before today, or before this week, rather. Hadn't even been to Europe until he arrived in England on Saturday. Watched YouTube videos of every hole at Royal Birkdale and worked with his statistician and caddy to prep. Played 26 practice holes when he got there, and now has a one-stroke lead right now. Again, 5 under 65. Said he really liked how his driver was going. He feels comfortable with the irons. Let's see if he can hang on a little bit here. Meanwhile, Scotty Scheffler is now plus 450, down from the 7-1 to 9-1 range, wherever you could find him prior pre-flop to the tournament, looking to go back-to-back, defend his title for the Open Championship.
And we got him.
Shot a 2 under this morning, 4 birdies, first 4 holes before bogeying 7. Shot par from there, then another bogey on 17. So, got off to a hot start and then fell back a little bit on the back 9.
Yeah, and we're waiting for the last couple of big names to get to an end here with Rory 2 over through 16. And then I was going to say your boy, but you don't have anything on Collin Morikawa, do you?
No, not this time around. He bogeyed his first hole of the day, erases it with a birdie on 2, and kind of went on a little bit of a tear from there and had recent form pretty, I guess up and down, you could say. T7 at the Masters, T17 at Shinnecock Hills, but trying his best to get back from the back injury.
Everybody's favorite guy, Matty Fitzpatrick, 2 over. He's on 17 right now.
Tommy Fleetwood, he's somebody I had a top 20 on, 1 under 69, not a great day. Only hit 4 greens his first 13 holes. Snapped in, though, found the swing a little bit late, carded a couple birdies. Fine start, though, for me, for somebody with a top 20,
Yes, indeed. And I want to divert back to our boy Suber. Thank you very much, Kelly Bidlin, for pointing this out as he texts me and says that Suber has been pretty good as of late. And indeed, there was quite a few top 6, top 30, a missed cut, top 4, or tied for 4th, tied for 67th, a 4th place finish to the CJ Cup back in May, tied for 19th. So our guy's been playing extremely well heading into this. So never want to pretend like you know everything. It's why you ask the smart guys like Kelly, who, although it's not very smart that it's noon, as I look at my watch, that doesn't work, and he's still here.
Just his second season on the PGA Tour, former Ole Miss star. The scorecard today, 6 birdies, 1 eagle, and 3 bogeys. So there you go. Okay, you want to talk baseball?
Sure.
Just one game today. We'll have a full card coming up tomorrow. The lone game coming up at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. Mets and Phillies. Aaron Nola on the hill for Philadelphia. Minus 131 home favorites. Christian Scott getting the start for the Mets. Run total here sitting 9.5. And I will say our producer Justin Emery, very big on the strikeout props. Loves looking at the strikeout leader odds board each and every day. He likes that over 5.5 strikeouts on Nola today. Plus 117 that price.
Yeah, look, Nola, if you look at some of the swing and miss stuff, he's still grading out pretty well. 66th percentile in both both the chase and whiff rate. Strikeouts haven't really followed, but pretty good command. You just expect that you probably deserve a little bit better. So against the Mets, can you get them to start swinging and missing? I would think that you probably are able to at least generate some stuff for a team that's been really middle of the pack when you look at their strikeout rate so far this season. So I think that makes a ton of sense. Haven't seen much personally of Christian Scott. 54 innings and 12 starts. Haven't watched many of them. 3.17 ERA, 4.10 fielding independent. So we always make that case of, all right, you see those differentials, that's something you're chasing. Contact numbers are something that I think worries you a little bit, and it kind of drives up that expected ERA, specifically the barrel rates. A little high for Scott, just around 8%. But I think you're looking at this, it's really just a matter of if Nola maybe is going to push to get over that strikeout number, are you going to get something better out of him? Because season-long numbers would dictate that Nola just has not been particularly great. And while there's some signs of regression, like a 5.75 ERA, 4.23 expected, 4.67 FIP, still really just talking about an average dude for the most part. But his last two starts going into the break, 12 total innings, 5 earned runs, struck out 15 over that stretch, just 2 walks. So maybe that is a sign of things to come.
Big picture, these are two teams that seem to be heading in pretty different directions at this point. The Phillies were 9-19 under Rob Thompson, tied for the Mets for the worst record in baseball back in April. Then the change happens, and the Phillies have gone on a run now where the Phillies, since April 28th, are 45-24, tied with the Brewers for the best record in Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, the Mets, this is the worst first half they've had since the 90s. Do you agree with our guy Chris Jimenez earlier talking about the Phillies being a team that could really be a threat in the National League moving forward?
Oh, I mean, I think you have to, right? Considering everything that you've mentioned here, it seems been very, very good. And with a pretty strong home field that really helps them out offensively as well, with some really strong left-handed bats in that lineup, I think that this is a team that should be considered one of the contenders that you see right now in the National League. The Braves, we've talked about them. I think the Brewers, it's funny, they just had the blackjack tournament here. Did you see who the first pick was?
No.
It's the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Milwaukee Brewers were the first selection. For our audience that doesn't know, the guys here at Circa like to host these blackjack invitationals, and then where you finish, you get a futures ticket for a certain amount of money on a sport of that time. This time it was Major League Baseball, so I believe it was $10,000.
It's a really cool thing that they do for their big spenders.
Yeah,
here.
so it was a $10,000 or $15,000 free roll as the first pick, and that was the Milwaukee 15. Thank you, Justin. So $15,000 on the Milwaukee Brewers.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you about the Cubs as maybe another potential contender. I think
that you want the Cubs.
So, no, here's my question.
Okay, here we
I
go.
know run differential isn't the end-all, be-all, right? But it helps. And the Cubs have a great one. Is that something that could be one of those indicating factors that leads you to believe they can keep this up in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, I think offensively you don't really have any questions about Chicago at all, like whether or not they're going to be able to keep it up. It's always been about their pitching. You know, the starting pitching, they're 23rd right now in starter ERA. It's not great out of 30 teams. And so are you just going to be able to slug your way out of almost every single matchup that you find yourself in? Bullpen ERA, they're dead middle. I think they're 15th or 16th. So I think offensively, Chicago is everything you want. I think it's really just the question of how does the pitching shake out? Obviously, there's been some injuries in that staff too, but is there enough? And one would assume in the next 2 weeks they're buyers of some kind to go and get an arm that can help you out here. Maybe you're calling the Angels or other spots to try to get some of the available pitchers that are out on the market. But that to me is the biggest question. I don't think you're questioning whether or not this Cubs team has enough on offense to get this done. It's whether or not their pitching is going to be able to do it for them. And that, I think, is what ultimately gives you some trepidation as to whether or not you want to support them in the big picture of the National League, especially when you look at some of the teams around them and the strength of the top of some of these rotations. I mean, we just talked about the Phillies. Say what you want about Christopher Sanchez, the way that he's struggling, he's still really freaking good. We're talking about Zach Wheeler a lot as a National League Cy Young contender. Brewers have plenty of pitching. Dodgers have plenty of pitching. That, at the top, is going to be the big difference between Chicago and the rest of these teams.
Yeah. I was just thinking about, we've talked so much about like the way that the Detroit Tigers have turned things around and that 22-14 record since June 1st. Same record the Cubs have in that time since June 1st. And they got off to a better start. So they're in better position right now. And could they build on it? Was just kind of my thought process there a little bit. Any other big picture things before we actually officially start the second half today that stands out to you, or teams you've been thinking about?
No, I mean, I think the one thing, often I sit up at night and think about many things, all right? The frailty of my life and just that of humanity in general, but also the Baltimore Orioles. As they went into the All-Star break, they won 4 straight. They've won 7 out of the last 10. They are not one of these teams that we can really point to as, hey, positive run differential, look out, there's signs of things to come. But I know that our own Dustin Sweetelson a few weeks back had pointed to them as potentially being a dangerous team in the American League. And it's just worth pointing, first off, there are only 2 games back in the American League wildcard race, but also just that the American League stinks. And I feel like you get tempted by some of these teams anytime you get a whiff of some sort of success that maybe they're going to be able to make a push and get this done. So I think the Orioles are an interesting team. I'm not one that personally would buy, but I know some of the networks, have brought them up. But I do think they're there. They're up there. And I don't really spend a lot of time at night thinking of the Baltimore Orioles.
They're a team that the last couple of years in the preseason I've really believed in, and then inevitably been let down. Do want to remind everybody,
just like life.
Buddy, by the way, with football season around the corner, and we've been talking about all the entries that are already stacking up for Circus Survivor here. The Circus Survivor documentary from this past season is getting underway on your television soon, beginning this coming Wednesday, July 22nd, 9 p.m. Eastern. Episode 1 will take you inside the growth of the contest. $18.7 million on the line. Of course, your first look at the Grandissimo format last year with the high stakes $100,000 entry. You can follow all the sharpest minds and bold personalities who think they've got what it takes to go the distance. Whether you're playing Circus Survivor yourself each year, you just love the drama of the season-long grind. It's must-watch TV. Check it out every Wednesday, again, beginning next week, July 22nd, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on VSiN.
Are you in it?
I should be, I imagine. I don't know. I wasn't in the trailer, but I did a lot of interviews last season.
I was going to say.
I did one with you.
That's right. I always forget.
I did one with you.
I always forget that that's like the last year.
Yes.
It's for next year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so it's recapping all of the drama of last year's Survivor win.
Can we get a copy of Stormy's commercial? Can we play that?
Oh, yeah.
Can we play, you have that?
I have it on my phone, yeah.
Okay, send it to Justin.
Okay, we got to step aside here on Money Moves. Speaking of football, we're going to dive into some college football coming up next. Hear from a handful of coaches and players from ACC and Mountain West Media Day when we return.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
College football back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're in the thick of it for ACC Media Days, Mountain West going on right now, as is the Sun Belt. We pulled a handful of sound bites that we've seen from coaches and players over the last 24 hours. We'll have some more for you tomorrow. We might as well start at the top, though, in the ACC. Miami, minus 136, the largest favorite among all of the P4 conferences, fresh off their national championship appearance. Didn't make the ACC title game. Did make the national championship game, so there you go. And Miami head coach Mario Cristobal was asked about the Canes being favorites on the Joe Rowe Show.
Mario, you know you're going to be the big dog. They're going to talk to you about being the heavy favorite to win this thing. How do you answer that to everybody today that's already talking about you?
I couldn't care less about that. I could give a stat about that, Joe, and I think you know that. Like, that's never been a part of anything and never will, this talk about hunted and all that BS. That's a complete, and you know what that is? Complete garbage, okay? You know, our coaches and our organization are completely committed to getting the absolute best out of our players and focusing on what we do on a daily basis. Not narratives, not storylines, not predictions, or none of that stuff, man. The Canes are ready to roll, man, so let's get this thing going.
I will say, he is pretty good at the messaging and downplaying the expectations that they have, right? We went to a national championship last year. That was last year. This is this year. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could be good at that. I think a lot of people could be good at that.
I'm just saying, he is.
First off, somewhere, please, audio producer, you're overmodulated just a little bit. Just turn our guy down here a bit. Second, not you guys, the person on this radio show. Second, I mean, I guess there's not really a problem with being the favorite. You clearly are. You made the run. They're just like they talked about. I guess you're trying to get guys.
When you go to a national championship, you inevitably have expectations.
Yes. That's the whole point. You have expectations. So to downplay that, I think, is a little nuts. If you were a program that was just ascending, let's just use a Virginia Tech, for example. Like, hey, James Franklin, I think there was a quote floating out there that, we won the offseason. So thrusting expectations about a new program, I can get it. But I think it's assumed, given everything you have coming back and what you brought in Darian Mensah, that you're going to be a team that is expected to, I don't even think compete, win the ACC. And by the way, those should be internal expectations as well.
Sure. Darian Mensah is such a great get for this team. And, I don't know if it's going to be Cam Ward level elevation, but when you
can touch our guy.
Compare, we're big Cam Ward stands over here. But when you think Mensah over post-surgery Carson Beck, right? That's an automatic huge upgrade for this offense. You are stacked at wide receiver. Bring over Cooper Barkate, who's Mensah's guy at Duke. He's going to be wide receiver too because he's still got Malachi Toney over there. This team looks awesome. I know they lost a bunch of talent. You don't have Akeem Mesidor anymore. Desmond Bain is gone. But another stacked portal class. And for an offensive line that I guess has some questions on paper, you have the best offensive line coach in the entire country right now, the top recruit at that position in the country. There's so much reason to be excited. If I were to, what are the odds that you truly think Miami has competition in the league? Is it Miami for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the odds on favor for a reason. And I think you can make the argument you get better at quarterback with Mensah just because he adds a little bit more explosiveness to your offense. Look, Carson Beck was good, but there's questions about the arm, obviously the elbow issues that he had, not exactly a rocket downfield. Now you can add that element to your offense with Mensah. I think he's a slightly better athlete as well, so you have different aspects of this offense that you could really use, and that means unlocking more from a guy like Malachi Toney and others. So I would say,
they're scheduled too. It's so their schedule on paper looks really easy. Yes, you have an October game at Clemson, which is going to, you would think, tough on paper, but they're still going to, you imagine, be favored in that game. Pitt, yes, I think is going to be better, but your only real challenge on the schedule is at Notre Dame in November.
Yes. So, there should be expectations that they're going to be very good.
Okay, let's keep it rolling here. Next from NC State quarterback C.J. Bailey on what he thinks this team should be.
What we need is an alpha leader, and that's what I am right now, and that's what I got to be for us to win more games. I got to be consistent every day, come in the building with the same mindset every day, which is I want to win the ACC championship. We want to win the ACC championship. So pour into my guys every day, like I've been doing. So, taking that next step into my leadership, growing it even more. Every year, every day, it's got to grow even better for the program.
You can't tell in that clip, but he's a pretty big dude. 6'6", 220. He really filled out, put on a ton of muscle the last year or so. Had a really good season last year, more than 3,100 yards, 25 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing, just 9 interceptions. And has a team with the easiest schedule in the entire conference.
I think we're looking at a potential ACC championship berth. I think the question is your defense going to be any better? You look at where they finished in a lot of different categories. Statistically, a season ago, they were in the 31st percentile in pass explosive rate allowed, so giving up a lot of completions of 15 or more yards. They were actually in the 15th percentile in non-explosive EPA per play. So when you weren't giving up explosives, you were still allowing teams to move the ball and move it successfully and efficiently. Right.
Terrible defense.
But their offense was great. I mean, I think the one thing that you're arguing, and I think you're asked from Bailey here, is there was not a lot of explosiveness to the passing attack. They're very average, dead centers, 50th percentile in pass explosive rate, so you want some more of those through the air. But I think where the expectation is this is going to be above average offense. Can you at least bring your defense back to average? 124th in the country in total expected points added by opponents and 121st in EPA per play by opponents is not going to get it done. And like you said, if you even take incremental steps forward, this schedule sets up for you brilliantly to do some damage.
Even with them giving up 30 points per game last year, mind you, they still had 8 wins. And that's where the win total sits again here, 7.5. The over is plus 120. They've had at least 8 wins in 7 of their last 9 seasons, including last year. But look at that schedule again. They avoid Miami, no SMU, no Clemson. The season opener at Virginia, I think, will be an interesting test out the chute. At Vanderbilt in non-con week 3. But their toughest conference game is against Louisville. At least they get that at home. Look at how many home games they have, too. 7 home games on the schedule. Here's the rest of it.
Are we missing a game on the schedule?
App State, Wake, Stanford, Cal, Duke, Syracuse, Florida State, North Carolina.
Yeah. When is the Louisville game?
Louisville, week. Hold on. Now I just X out of the thing.
Oh, look at that. I should have asked you. I thought you had it up. Either way, the point still stands that, yes, that they are.
It's early in the
They
season.
have everything in front of them to be able to get this done. And you look at the odds for the ACC. I mean, the problem is, so you're looking at like 22-1 to win the ACC. I think I'd rather play something like
Week
finalist,
5.
make conference final game, week 5. Okay. Make the conference final, something like that. Or a conference title game. Only because, all right, you might be sitting at 22-1, but let's say they make it against Miami. You're probably still in a difficult opportunity to even hedge out of something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that if they don't win 8 games, it is a massive disappointment,
Yeah.
I think, with that schedule. Meanwhile, from the easiest schedule in the ACC to the most difficult, here is Florida State head coach Mike Norvell.
Ashton is a guy that can really do it all. As I did my research, getting to know him and just the coaches that I work with and people that have been around him, there were so many just incredible qualities of the young man, the talent, the ability. And then when he joined the program in January, you really, the words then become secondary because you see it in his actions and just, the passion that he has for who he gets to work with. He's not somebody that comes in, having to wave the towel and give a speech, but when he talks, people listen because of all the things that they see from him. And as I even watching through 15 practices in spring ball, just his continued growth, and he's progressed, and I think has an incredible ceiling in front of him. A guy that's a natural playmaker, can extend plays, can live in the pocket, can make all the different throws, and a guy that's got a wonderful understanding of offensive football, being in a bunch of different systems, but incredibly smart and an incredible worker as well.
Was that Mike Norvell? Was that Stormy after she got a donut in the break from Corey?
Take a breath, Mike. Take a breath. Talking about his quarterback, Ashton Daniels.
You are not a fan.
If I'm Mike Norvell and my job is on the line this year, which it is, even though he's tried to downplay those comments too, and I know that's the right answer to have, obviously, but I'm not putting all my eggs in the Ashton Daniels basket.
So what are you going to do then?
I would have, and granted, maybe because Florida State's not as attractive as it was the last couple of years, right? Maybe he didn't have his pick of the litter at quarterback, and that's where you get stuck. But I do not have a whole lot of optimism for Ashton Daniels and this team, especially given the schedule that you have in front of you. Even if you had the best roster on paper in the league, this is a gauntlet that you have. Like their win total is 6.5. 6 feels generous to me. I would look at the alt under 5.5 at plus 155.
Yeah, I would generally agree with you in the sense of I think that there's sometimes where you see programs hold on to coaches that are kind of dead men walking because they know the schedule's brutal. And so they understand, like, why would we get a new head coach to have him start with a schedule like this and rebuild up when we can just allow Mike Norvell to get this done and then we'll move on after the season. It seems all but a given, just given the strength of the schedule, that he's going to be out of there. Having said that, we've seen crazier things. We saw Sunbelt Billy save himself for a season when he went through it with Florida with one of the most difficult schedules in the country. It's all we talked about going into that year, and they actually had a surprising season. So maybe he can do it. Maybe Ashton Daniels can prove you wrong. Point at you at a sideline event. Maybe someday you'll get him and he can mock you to your face.
Most of the offseason highlights I've seen for Florida State has been their tall Australian punter from New Mexico.
That's right.
That's most of that's not a good sign.
It's a ridiculous combination of words.
It's not a good sign.
Tall Australian punter from New Mexico.
last year, think about you beat Alabama week 1. What you thought this was going to be. And then what's my favorite phrase? Like a cookie and milk, you crumble. I don't think that they're going to get off the mat this year.
Neither here nor there.
Got to step aside. More money moves after this. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
20 leagues, one mission, just win bets, baby, is your premier source for daily sports betting picks. They're breaking down the data so you can bet with confidence across the entire sports calendar. Those of you watching on YouTube TV or the VSiN Watch app, you can scan the QR code on your screen. Or for our audio audience, justwinbetsbaby.com is how you can start betting smarter. Again, Just Win Bets Baby. The name says it all. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel back here with you on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And if you all could do me a favor, I would really appreciate it. Tweet at Jonathan Von Tobel, at MeJVT on X. And tell him some nice things. I feel like he needs some positivity in his life. Some of y'all are coming for my guy because of his Rocky take still 24 hours later. Oh my gosh. The slurs.
Yeah,
the
there's
negativity. Guys, he needs some love. Come on, be positive.
I think it's hilarious. I don't think Rocky's a good movie. What do you want me to say? I believe it.
I wish I could tell you some of the commentary, but none of it is acceptable for air.
I have over 1,100 comments on that tweet that I sent out yesterday.
That's insane.
I have over 1,100 responses to that tweet, and I think of the 1,100, I can read 60 of them on this air. All because I said that Rocky's a bad movie.
I'm going to go back and watch it this weekend again.
By yourself.
Yes.
No influences whatsoever. And again, for audience, I even said the negative one. Don't use your husband because your husband is a negative influence, right? He does not like it.
Correct.
So
but
take the
I
negative
have a positive influence as well. My father, diehard, absolutely loves the movie, loves the series, sent me a novel after listening to the show yesterday.
So did Dave Ross. He sent it to us yesterday.
With all of the reasons as to why you are incorrect. So
that's an opinion.
Who do you think has more in their mentions right now? You or LeBron James? Because this topic of conversation for him and the decision is going on and on and on.
I was going to say, are they rude? But actually, no, he still might beat me there, yeah.
Probably half and half, yeah. He today did a live podcast with Tyrese Halliburton at Fanatics Fest, was answering a lot of questions from Halliburton, from the audience, said he won't hold us up too much longer on the decision. But the market, like especially at some of these, whether it's Polymarket, Kalshi, whatever, all of these different trading platforms, these numbers have been all over the place lately.
Yeah, so this is what I find interesting. Was that report you were listening to, was that the one that I was looking at from Shams during the break? Okay, so you just watched the report. If I remember correctly, he said the three teams, the finalists were Cleveland, Miami, and Philly?
And the Warriors behind them.
The Warriors behind them. And yet, we have seen the Warriors in these prediction markets move all the way up to nearly tied with Cleveland for LeBron James' next team. I am very big on prediction markets now. We'll throw into the basket. But a lot of people like to point to the betting market as this is going to happen. The betting market says so. I'll remind you that Giannis, it was an odds-on favorite that he was going to go to the Boston Celtics. Okay, he's a member of the Miami Heat. So I don't really buy 100% into this, but I do find it interesting that we are getting a lot of reporting that Golden State is, by all accounts, in fourth place. Yes. And yet the betting market over the last 5 days or 6 days, the prediction markets have moved. Golden State has moved heavily up the list.
So Sham said this on McAfee earlier. The Warriors are behind in the LeBron James sweepstakes, essentially, unless they make an aggressive win-now move to improve their roster. Like, that is the...
I feel like getting LeBron James, isn't that kind of redundant? Wouldn't getting LeBron James be the win-now move?
Well, the whole thing that Wendy was saying to begin with, right? Like, now it's about who can add to lure LeBron in. That's what it's all about.
LeBron. It's like an inception thing.
How do you think he's actually going to announce the decision, right? Because every time it's been something different.
I have no clue. I mean, probably just I would hope just a report. Or, as many people have said, I'm not a big wrestling guy, but wouldn't you love if that we never found out until opening night of the NBA? And he just comes out onto the floor with the team that he picked, and nobody ever finds out until the day the league starts?
No.
No, that'd be great. I think that's LeBron James' music.
I'm seeing Hoops Nation 24 hours ago tweeted this video of Steve Kerr. But I haven't listened to it to know if it's actually Steve Kerr.
Okay,
or not,
that's really good insight. Thank you, Stormy.
But I'm just saying, like, maybe people looked at this video where he's saying we got him.
Sure.
His moving markets. I don't know. To that end, last couple of minutes here, if you want to shift back to college football.
Real quick, 2 bits of news just in the NBA. First of which is it sounds like Bam Adebayo is not going to get in trouble for socking Tyler Hero out here or slapping him. So that's just something worth noting. And also one of the funnier stories of the association news cycle. Imagine being paid and you were so bad the year before the league has to investigate why you got paid. Gary Trent Jr. and the Bucks are being investigated after he got a 4-year, $64 million contract because he was so bad last year. It makes no sense that he is getting paid.
Why are you making so much more money now?
And the thought is, you people coming after my guy Kawhi. He's my guy for now. there is also thoughts of this was also salary cap circumvention, especially the first couple of years where they paid Gary Trent not that much, and this is their payback for him after taking less the first couple of years in a Bucs uniform. So just pretty funny.
Okay, couple more sound bites we heard since we were all ACC last segment. Want to go to the Mountain West here briefly. Hawaii quarterback, Mountain West preseason offensive player of the year, Micah Alejado, discussed dealing with injuries throughout the course of the season when he was on the Mountain West Network yesterday.
I couldn't really tell you if it was more mentally or physically stuff because I think, they're at the same level. It was tough, I would say. I was probably, one of the injuries that I've never thought of I would ever have, and that was probably the worst injury I've ever had. And, waking up every day, man, had to go through so much things just to get the ankle warmed up and, getting it ready. And throughout the course of the season, it started taking a toll on me for sure. But, God gave me strength, God gave me motivation, and, my teammates were there for me. So it wasn't hard to keep going out there for them. But, it was tough just going throughout that daily process of just making sure my ankle would, perform on Saturdays.
And it felt for Alejado, anybody who watched Hawaii last season, week one, right out the gates, you have this huge win for them, right, over Stanford at home. But he has that hip drop tackle that hurts his ankle, ended up lingering throughout the entirety of the season. Even still, though, JVT, top passing offense in the conference, in their home games, average more than 30 points per game. He still led them to a 9-4 season when all was said and done.
Still led them to a 9-4 season. I think he was named, by the way, preseason Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. So, look, the ceiling is the roof for Hawaii. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. And Alejado is going to be front and center for that if they're going to achieve all of these goals. Alejado, of course, an alum of Bishop Gorman High School out here in Las Vegas. Worth pointing out, this schedule, I think, is somewhat opportunistic as well. You get New Mexico to make the trip out there. North Dakota State, you have to face them. But, again, they have to go all the way out to Hawaii. What I'm going to be curious about is, and UNLV too. UNLV has to make the trip out there. So some of the big boys you face, they do have to come out and face you. And the road trips, well, at least you get the worst teams in the conference because you do have to make a long trip. So that'll be pretty interesting. Coming off of a home game against New Mexico that is going to have a lot of stakes to it, you would assume. Then the next week, Stormy, you've got to go to Northern Illinois. That's a weird trip for Hawaii. Yeah. The next week, you've got to go to UTEP. So how that looks, or no, I think they have a bye week sandwiched in there. So, but you have to go to UTEP coming out of your bye. That'll be pretty interesting to see how they travel. But I do think that this is an opportunity for them. And we should not sleep on either. August 29th. A big revenge spot for the Stanford Cardinal. They opened up the season last year, as you mentioned. That's the game in which Alejado got hurt, but they pull off the victory. Now Stanford, a like-rated opponent, is going to be licking their chops trying to get a little bit of revenge for you. So it's an opening schedule that is tough at Stanford, home versus UNLV, but there are some opportunities for this team to potentially get in there in the mix for the Mountain West Championship for sure.
Yeah, that game against Stanford, first game for new head coach Tavita Pritchard stepping in as well. We talked a couple weeks ago about the Mountain West at large and some of the potential home field advantages, brought up North Dakota State and the Fargo Dome among those teams. Here's quarterback Nathan Hayes and defensive tackle Keenan Wilson on how they feel about playing in the Dome.
Yeah, I think it's everything. When you go up to Fargo on a Saturday, there's nothing but football. Everyone's saying, I'm going to go to the game, I'm going to go to the tailgate. Kids are excited. They're out wearing jerseys. High school kids are wanting to go to the games. It's just a huge community full of love and Bison pride. Like Hayes said, it's a testament to those who came before us. Bison pride has been a thing for as long as I can remember, and just people just want more. So,
yeah, I think the coolest thing, building off what Keenan said, we don't have an NFL team in North Dakota. Yeah. So we are the premier team in North Dakota, and I think that kind of, amplifies it.
Obviously a dominant FCS program for years, first year making their way up to FBS. Third shot on the board for the Mountain West. UNLV is your favorite, plus 260. New Mexico, plus 265. And North Dakota State right there at 3-1.
Yeah. And actually, depending on where you look, they are
those
tied.
odds by DraftKings, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, at MGM, UNLV, New Mexico, and North Dakota State all plus 270 to win the conference. So they're going to be up there. And the reason why I wanted to play this is just not the, hey, talk about North Dakota. I think it's really interesting, and I brought this up to Adam as well. The way that these conferences have now been reshaped, North Dakota State leaps all the way up to the top, and I think arguably number one. Maybe Wyoming number 2, 1. You can move them in terms of home field advantage in this conference. It's an odd place to play. They've got a really strong home field advantage in terms of fan support, as those two just mentioned. But outside of Wyoming and the inherent advantage of playing up there in the thin air at over 7,000 feet, and then just the weird trip to make it all the way out to Hawaii, It's going to be, I think, the toughest place to play in the Mountain West.
I've never done a game there. I've always wanted to.
We talked about at the beginning of this video clip, there was a picture of a smiling Stormy Buonantony at a trophy presentation.
Yeah, that was in Nashville, though. Nashville, Frisco, Texas. I've done a number of FCS championship games, but that's at a neutral site.
A number.
So I have. I've done four FCS championship games.
Who am I to question?
It's very fun. Also very cold for the ones that have been in Frisco. But, I never got to do any of their semifinals. I always got sent to Montana State.
A number of championship games and a number of commercials for Stormy Buonantony, which we will discuss when we come back on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on the program, wrapping it up. Follow the money coming up here in about 15 minutes. I believe Doug Kazarian and Mitch Moss are still in control of the desk. Find out. It's a mystery whether or not those two will be here. Mitch and JJ. Okay, John Jastrzemski is going to be there. Thank you very much. Now, the reason why I have decided to take the reins here is, we all have a lot of things going on. I have many irons in the fire. I work 2 jobs. I do local media. For those who don't know, I work for the ESPN affiliate out here in Las Vegas. I have some other stuff that I do on the side. I sell watches out of the trunk of my car to make a little extra cash. There's a lot that you got to do to make ends meet. Stormy as well works sidelines for ESPN, as well as this gig here. Also a burgeoning actor in the space. I stumbled upon this the other day. Let's take a look at one of Stormy's debuts as an actor here for Circa.
Welcome to your new favorite hotel room at Circa.
Excuse me, we're in here.
Where comfort meets cutting-edge technology. Speaking of comfort, a little warm in here. Whether you like it cold or cozy, we've got you covered. This tablet, your all-in-one guide to everything Circa. I am a little hungry. Caesar salad sounds good.
Are we paying for that?
Excuse me. Oh, you can also set the mood right from your bed. You want a little candle lighting, maybe some brightness, or you don't want people barging in your room. There's even a privacy button. You should try that next time. Ooh, this looks good. Circa. It's not just a hotel room. It's an experience. Everything you need, just a touch away.
Could you not put that on our tab, please?
All right, so there's a couple of notes here. First off, I'll be nice for a second. Good job.
Thank you.
You did a very good job. Better than I thought. I tuned in immediately hoping like she's going to be terrible, and you were good.
Thank
you were very
for
good.
that. I appreciate it.
Second, there is a common thread amongst the acting gigs that you've had. This is the second that I have witnessed. The other was for what was the card that we had? G-Bank, in which you were extremely rude to former veteran. You're always a veteran. Veteran Dave Ross, American hero, in which you told him to shut his mouth and told the voiceover guy to talk to Dave because you didn't have the time of day to give him the details on the G-Bank card. And you were very rude to those people in that commercial.
I would like to let the record show that these are the scripts that are handed to me. And they say the best actors, right, are the ones that can get out of their true personality and really embody the character.
How long were you working on that one?
I need to add actors to my LinkedIn, maybe get a SAG card, see what we can do here. But I had a ton of fun. I was so nervous.
But this was from last year?
Yes, we recorded them last year. This, and I got to do a food tour, basically, of some of the restaurants here at Circa and interview the owners and chefs at various restaurants here, do a bunch of taste tests, which was super fun. And it is part of, when you stay in a hotel room, you walk in the room, and the TV is going with, Mark, whatever his name is, from Extra and E and all those. It's basically like one of those types of things, but it's all about the Circa property. And so that was one of the things that I did for it. And I was so nervous when we recorded these because it's like a one-take thing, and I had to do that whole sequence like 12 or 13 times. And it's hard to do all in one.
You did good. They got your long, powerful fingers in there multiple times as well. So good job.
I do speak with my hands a lot. For our audio audience, I did post that on my Instagram the other day, so you can go find it. But if you just were like, what am I listening to right now? You can go look at the video, and it comes across, I think, a little bit better there than just the audio. But it was fun. We got to get you. You've been in some Circa commercials, too, for the What's the Guarantee?
I think I've only been in one.
Okay. I've been in 2 of those.
Must be nice.
Well, I went on a zip line for one. I'm sad they haven't asked me to do that again. That was by far the funnest day at work ever. I got to go on the zip line twice.
Yeah, I've only been in one. And then one time I started playing at a gas pump, and then like the guy was watching it, and then looked at me, and I was like, yeah.
Because at Terrible's here in Vegas, you just go to pump your gas, and then you hear your own voice right there. The thing is great. Last couple minutes here, we need to recap the bets and then look ahead to anything that we have added. Yesterday for me, the Argentina-England, both teams to score, ended up coming through. That was my one official play for the game. Mad at myself, though, that as we talked about on the show yesterday, I got a little overzealous right before kickoff and was like, I'm going to throw in England. I'm going to throw in an anytime goal scorer. They were just like a couple for fun small bets. So those unfortunately did not come through. But the official play ends up cashing. So hopefully you followed that one and not my last second hot trigger finger.
Yep. Same for me. I mean, it didn't have a bet on the game outside of some Jude Bellingham right when the game started. And England goes down. So the English to win the World Cup. Shockingly enough, the Brits let me down here. I say sack him. Get him out of here, Tom Tuchel. Yeah, that's right. I don't want this German dude here anymore to coach the Three Lions. I believe he should be sacked, and we should move on.
You have loved using English vernacular throughout the course of this run. Any other new words you picked up from our guy, Alex Blowers?
So, okay, yes, there is, and it's not a bad word, but I feel like maybe in British context it is. But he likes to go slug.
So what does that mean?
Slug.
What does that mean?
I don't know, just like a slug. Like, we know
well, I guess I know what a slug is, but
I don't know what does
can you use it in a sentence?
I just did.
You just said the word with a period.
I said total slug. You're a slug. Stop being a slug. I don't know. He just says it a lot.
But how is it like? Is that it's
I
a
just
diss?
said it. I just said it.
It's just a diss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop being. You're being a slug right now.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Exactly.
Slugs are disgusting.
Yeah, I picture something slimy. So.
Okay, I guess that checks. Do you have a gut feeling on the final coming up on Sunday?
My initial thought would be Spain. I mean, we've talked about this a ton, but it's time to just kind of keep towing the company line. What did we say 2 rounds ago when they were going to the game against Belgium? It just feels like they're maybe being a little underrated. And we said it again going into the game against France, and then they pulled that game off too. And so now here we are again. Now they are favored here against Argentina, but I just feel like, I think it's time we just continue to buy into the Spanish team. And in some form or fashion, we have kind of bought in, or at least we talked about it on the show. A couple of games to score to 0. We talked about that with the Belgium game of the both teams to score and expecting them to get something done there too. And then, of course, asking that game to go into the total against France. They get it done with their defense. And so I think here too, getting it under and then asking Spain to get it done as well, I think it's a fair ask. And I don't think, here's the other thing, to go back to that slug, Thomas Tuchel, I don't think that the Spanish would go into a shell and start to play the equivalent of a pre-vet defense for us.
Right.
If they go up in a game like this against Argentina, they're good enough defensively to keep the pressure on while also maintaining a clean sheet potentially.
Well, and top team in the entire World Cup in terms of possession, so they like to hang on to the ball. Only conceded the 1 goal, as you mentioned, was able to hold that France team that has the best attacking unit in the world off of the score sheet. The lone goal that they have allowed was that 2-1 win against Belgium. So see if they can push it forward here. Prior to the win over France, they were plus 320 to win it all. After that win and not knowing their opponent, minus 136 favorites. So a huge shift knowing that they were the winner of the match with the then favorite at the time. Spain now minus 150 against Argentina. That is your price when all is said and done.
It is. Yes, it is indeed. Big loser, though, here. It stinks. Spain and Argentina.
Well, how about me? I had France and Mbappe, but
I don't care about that.
I'm doing much better.
We couldn't have 2 worst teams to root for here. We don't want them to win.
Such a buzzkill. Did you have any thoughts on the third place match, or are we just holding off on that until we know more about who's playing?
That, to me, is going to be interesting. So, again, for whatever reason, and just because they played yesterday, and I got hypnotized by British media. So just going through like all of these, the Sky Sports and all of their content today, and they were just one of the commentators just like, who cares? Like, don't play it. Doesn't matter. It's a third place game. Yeah. And so
goal total's 3.5. Keep that in mind.
Like every game that we have seen to this point, not every game, but obviously your point is most of these games we have seen these 2.5s. Here it's 3.5. So you just wonder who's going to play. Will they care? What that's going to look like? Do you play it over just because we had talked about that angle, right? I mean, the championship game, the final, should be very tight. Should be hotly contested, maybe played in the midfield, as we had discussed that first half against the English and Argentina. But I do think that one, why would you care? Wouldn't that just be more open and free-flowing, depending on who's going to play and who's not?
One would think. You are getting plus money on that over 3.5, though, plus 110, under minus 135. The France team totals have been extremely profitable throughout this whole thing. They are pretty decent size favorites, minus 110 on the money line. And then I just lost the odds on
You do that a lot.
the primary. I'm bad at maneuvering some of these websites sometimes. Minus 210 to officially finish third, depending on the stoppage time and all of that different stuff is definitely a learning curve a little bit for me on when I was actually in the app betting things. Because we always like try to warn and advise people, okay, to advance is a different thing than the 90-minute line, yada, yada, yada. And I totally agree, and we advise that. And then I still would accidentally click the wrong thing sometimes.
Got to pay attention.
Not great. Not great, Bob.
You going to Mountain West Media Days?
I am not today. Because the coaches are doing their stuff today, and I got to talk to a bunch of them last night. So I kind of knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Must be nice.
Embarrassed myself in front of Dan Mullen. Not my fault, though. That was interesting.
Thanks for the
invite. Then also, you could have come anytime. You were busy. You were at Summer League.
And I was writing, correct.
Yes, you got college football media guide stuff to be doing.
I am. So I think it's
not
coming.
Media guide, but betting guide.
Betting guide. I think it's coming along nicely. Knocked out 3 teams yesterday, so I think we are at Adam Burke, if you're watching, we're on a good pace here to complete my writing for the college football betting guide.
Even this morning, like right before we came on the show, you've just like rummaging
saw
through
me.
your notes.
Yep.
You're grinding.
I had a pen in my hand. That's when you know it's serious.
I also talked to Troy Calhoun yesterday, head coach at Air Force for
Must be
20
nice.
years.
Nice 9 wins over the last 2 seasons. Step it up, Troy.
My first sideline game I ever did was at the Air Force Academy, and I was mortified to interview that guy at halftime. I told him that. He said, oh, it makes me feel bad. I'm like, no, it doesn't, Troy. You love that. You love that intimidation. Have a great day, everybody. Follow the Money's coming up next.
Loves.